Hey, it's me, Dan K, back again with another video, and today I'm going to show you how you can build your very own custom oak tree. So grab a chair while I take you through the process of building a custom tree. We all know basically what a tree looks like, but I would suggest taking some time to look up some pictures of trees to get a good feel for the type and size of tree you would like to make. You might think all trees look the same, but each one has certain qualities that make them unique. Large oak trees, like the one we're making here, have long branches that shoot off in all directions. This lets light get to more branches to help the tree grow. Now that we have an idea of what our tree is going to look like, we're going to mark the base of our tree just like this. Duh. Now we can start building up the trunk. I suggest using 6-side logs for a better looking tree. Trees don't usually grow perfectly straight, so it's important to give the trunk a little wobble. It might look a little wonky at first, but as you build up, it'll start to look more and more like a tree as you go. As you build up, make sure to take a step back every so often to make sure you like the shape of the trunk. Once you start putting branches on it, it'll be much harder to go back and fix things you don't like, so this is the time to really set the shape of it. As the tree gets taller, its base also has to get wider. A very tall tree with a skinny base is likely to fall over, so start thinking about the root system and keep in mind how tall you want the tree to be. If you don't like how something's looking, don't be afraid to change it. This was a little too wide and flat, so I changed it and I was much happier with the result. Now that the base of the tree is done, it's time to start adding branches. We'll be doing this by building up and out, alternating to give them shape. Think about things like the direction the tree is leaning and where the light might be coming from. Remember, branches always grow towards the light and they branch off as they grow out. Trees also tend to grow somewhat symmetrically, so try to keep branches on opposite sides of the tree kind of equal in size and shape. This will make for a much more balanced tree in the end. Trees aren't perfectly symmetrical though, so if you start to notice too many branches starting in the same place, add a little bit more height to the trunk and build up from a different level. Trees don't just grow out either. The tallest branches tend to grow straight up, right towards the light. Adding some of these branches now will help you fill in the middle when you start adding leaves later. Once again, anytime you want to add height to a tree, you should also build up the base a little to make it more sturdy. And there's the trunk of the tree built. You can really see it starting to take shape. Up next, we will be adding some leaves and shaping the tree. I'd suggest starting with a basic pattern when shaping the tree. A circular pattern, as large or as small as you'd like, is a great place to start. Once you've chosen your pattern, you'll want to start at the top of the tree and work your way down and around. Use the pattern you've chosen on each top. Consider using 2 or 3 similar patterns depending on the size of the branch. Smaller branches have less leaves and bigger branches have more. In the places where your patterns bump into each other, leave a few air gaps here and there. This will make each branch slightly more distinct and it will look more natural when you're finished. As an optional effect, you can try mixing in azalea or other light-colored leaves to make it look like the sun is shining through the canopy. To do this, create the same pattern as before, but this time mix in lighter colored leaves in places you think the sun might be shining. If you choose to try this, you will have to decide where the light is shining. Lighter colored leaves will act as the highlights or the parts where the sun is shining, and darker colored leaves will act as shadow. The mix of highlight and shadow will help create depth and intrigue in your build and help make it more pleasing to the eye. By starting with lighter color leaves on the outside of the tree and darker colors toward the center, you can quickly lay down your patterns and then just add the highlights and shadows afterwards. As you can see here, while I'm adding the patterns, I'm also trying to create a lot of height variation. This makes a lot of highs and lows that seem more interesting than uniform branches of the same height. And of course, as I'm going, I'm also adding the highlights to the top of the tree where I think the sun might be shining. Now that all of the tops are done, you can see that this tree is really starting to take shape. The highlights and shadows create enough depth that this tree almost looks finished, but we still have to work on the undergrowth. Just like on the tops, by starting with darker colored leaves and adding highlights, we can quickly finish off the shaping of the tree and move on to adding more details. Similar to what we did up top, you'll also want to create height variations with the hangy bits underneath. Remember to leave some space between leaf clusters so you can see the individual shapes in the tree. If you start to notice your tree becoming too geometrical, you can solve this by adding or taking away some leaves. This will make the tree look a little more natural and wild. Remember, trees are a lot like people. They come in all shapes and sizes. With these last few leaves being added, we've got ourselves a tree to be proud of. But we've still got some details to add. I've gotta say though, this tree sure is looking good. Now that we've got the shape of our tree set, we're gonna work on the roots. These new mangrove root blocks will come in handy for this part. These root blocks are a slightly darker color than the oak wood, but if we place them in areas of shadow, they should add some more depth and interest to the base of the tree. You'll want to be selective about where you place these root blocks. Too many and the tree won't look very sturdy. Too few and they will look out of place. Consider where the roots might grow out of the ground if this was a real tree, and place the roots there. Our tree is almost complete, but there are a few more details we can add to really bring it to life. Placing moss carpets around the base of the tree will make it look like the ground is raised up around the roots. Once again, be selective about placement or it'll lose its effect. Make sure you leave some empty spaces between the moss carpets at the base of the tree. We will come back and add other decorations in a bit. Now that we've laid our moss carpets, it's time to add some life around the tree. Using a mix of short and tall grass and dead bushes will help cover some of the hard lines left by the moss carpets. Mixing in some flowers with the vegetation will add some color and tie the build together. I chose red, pink, and white flowers to balance out all of the green in the trees and the grass. Once again, it's so important to be selective in placing these decorations. It can be really easy to overdo it and you'll wind up with a field of flowers if you're not careful. Adding some of these cave vines to the tree's canopy will create a little more interest and height variations within the leaves. And the last little touch before calling this build complete is to hide a spore blossom in the leaves. This will create a particle effect that will make the tree and the surrounding area look more lush and alive. And with that, we can call our tree complete. All that's left to do now is stand back and admire your beautiful new tree. And what a tree it is. It sure does look good. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, consider leaving a like. And if you really liked it, consider subscribing. I plan on putting out more videos just like this one in the future. Let me know how your trees turned out down in the comment section. And until next time, this has been Dan K. Goodbye.